Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at Ame's Bristleback. The reason why I want to look at this game in particular is basically because, number one, this hero is really strong. I would even consider it, I don't want to say it's OP, I don't think it's OP, but I think it's really powerful right now. And he is unironically 1 in 5 on Bristle right now, and yet he's still top 2 net worth. Really, the craziest part about this entire game to me though was like this point where he's actually 0-2, but he's top 2 net worth still and dominating his lane. Like, this is the offlaner. So it's one of those situations, and by the way, his no kills, no assists. Like, you can't chalk it up to that. So we're going to look at his gameplay, see what he's doing to be so efficient, even when things seemingly aren't panning out how you would want them to, and let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, so the first thing I want to get into is a situation a lot of you guys need to know about or need to know how to approach. So if you're in the safe lane, because he's actually playing this lane 1v2, the enemy position 4 Tiny is actually looking to tri-lane at this point. So what he's trying to do is basically he wants to make the Dawn get as little creeps as possible. Now he sees that the Dawn is dragging wave, and it's very important to know how to respond to this when it does happen. And what Ame does, because there's no position 4, is he considers connecting the wave. He decides against it, and I think the reason why is he just wants to actually connect this wave with the next one, and he saw that the other creep wave was actually going to die in time. So you're going to notice he's going to connect the wave here. Sometimes a position 4, if they are in the lane, will bully you a little bit, or the position 3 will bully you, and you won't be able to static it here, you'll have to bring it to here instead, and that's fine. That works okay too, and that's a good alternative, but basically just don't take it under your tower. If you take the wave under the tower, you're griefing the lane extremely hard. That is worst case scenario, because then your wave is going to actually shove in, and the lane is going to static underneath the enemy tier 1 tower, and of course that's not what you want. On top of that, Ame makes a bit of a shift here, right? He's against a solo Dawnbreaker at the moment, so he actually takes the point in goo, which I really like. On top of that, I don't know why, I really don't. I don't know why Secret has no stick, but he doesn't, and I think he identified that as well, because one of the big downsides of taking goo on Bristleback is if you actually bother to use it, you're going to give them infinite stick charges, and so you got to be a little bit careful when it comes to taking this ability. It's really got to guarantee get you a kill or completely bully the enemy out of the lane, and the latter is exactly what happens in this lane. He bullies the Dawn completely out. Alright, so upcoming here we're going to see the first death of Ame in the game, and I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I sort of think he doesn't care. I honestly believe that if you asked him, he would make this play again. He would die. So he's against a Batrider mid, one of the only heroes that reliably kills Bristleback when he has Vanguard. And you'll see he gets a really early Vanguard timing, literally just picks it up. Really convenient timing. But he's going to get gone on by this Batrider, right? The Batrider is obviously going to go for the kill. And he will end up dying, right? As Matthew on the Tiny TP's in as well, and the Dawn goes on him too. But because he turns his back so consistently and so frequently, he's able to proc his quills like crazy. So he farms the entire creep wave, which means he's not missing a creep wave, right? A lot of the time when you die, you're going to get your creep wave denied or it's going to die to your tower. That's not happening here, right? He farmed the wave while dying because that's how Bristle works. On top of that, right, he's able to get a stick off and get multiple quills off before dying. One more right there. Nearly actually picks up a kill. If he got off that last quill, I think Tiny would have died. So essentially now you have a situation where this Batrider is 0 HP, 0 mana, right? This Tiny is 0 health. It's like, what is his plan, right? What he has to go back to base. So all of a sudden, you have 2 heroes walking back to base, right? You have 2 heroes just completely AFK on the map, which I guess technically causes your Viper to die. So what I was going to say is usually that would enable your offlane to actually do better. Unfortunately, that's not the case here, but generally would allow you to do that. It also allows Nothing to Say to come back into the game, at least to an extent, considering he got counterpicked pretty hard. And you'll notice after this death, he's just going to immediately TP back top. He also bought himself a ward, which I really like. I can't believe, you know, safe lane players still do not buy themselves wards. Like, that's insane to me. It's been so long since wards have been free, and yet core players still do not have the habit of buying it for themselves. just want you guys to understand that that is really bad if you do not buy your own wards. Of course, when you get abandoned, if your 5 can do it, okay, I guess they should do it, right? But it costed him no time. It didn't cost him any CS, no time. He's completely fine, right? That didn't cost him anything. And so it's really nice for him to do that. Now, at this point, he's going to look to sort of shove in the wave and then take this large camp, just playing for complete farm. And honestly, I don't really think, once again, he cares if he gets ganked. The Bat Rider is dead right now, so he's, of course, safe from that. He doesn't have to be worried about a Bat Rider, but he's not going to leave the top lane. And this is very important for a couple reasons. A lot of the time, what people will do is they'll go farm the woods right now, right? They'll be like, oh, there's a Dawnbreaker here, there's a Bat Rider who counters me, I have to go farm my woods, right? Even at this point of the game. On top of that, he even has some stacks. But you don't want to do that unless you really have to. In fact, we're even going to see him show up and kill off Matthew, who I don't know what he was doing, but he kills off Matthew, nearly kills off Alone here on the Bat Rider. I think he barely gets away because of the Abaddon. Oh yeah, this fight ends up going a little bit weird. I was surprised they committed so hard, so much confidence in his Vanguard timing here, just to all in, understanding that the Bat Rider really has nothing in the tank. Really nice branch from the Bat Rider there to keep himself alive. And I think Ame does end up falling. Yeah, he does. And no, this was not good. This is what we call an overextension. I'm not going to justify this death. This death, you know, if I was to... Okay, fine. Nothing to say is about a cleanup, right? I don't know why the Bat Rider sticks around, but... Nothing to say is about a cleanup, so he set that up. But nah, that was obviously a little bit too far. But in general, guys, if you are playing a Vanguard Bristle and the enemy doesn't easily kick you out with like one hero, I mean, even Bat Rider, it's not that straightforward for Bat Rider to kill you. As we saw earlier, he nearly died to Quills. He nearly died to Quills. And if he lassos you and your back is turned, because lasso doesn't turn you around, right? So if he lassos you and he's cooling the entire time, the Bristle's basically going to kill him. Only now, when the Viper comes to defend the tower, is he going to lead the lane. So the main concept is when you're playing Bristle and you don't have like the worst matchups in the game, maybe there's like a Viper who just solo kills you. It's like, all right, that's not worth it. Don't do that. Then you should just jungle, right? But you have to think of it like that. If you're trying to get to the next MMR bracket, you need to look at your situation. If your lane is good, clear the wave, then clear the large camp and the small camp. You can just rinse, repeat this over and over again. If you're dire, yes, you can look to take these camps as well. If you're like giga snowballing, maybe you have like a very, very early level 6, level 7, you can look to take these camps before returning back to the wave. In general, though, you want to do what he does until your lane is taken by someone else, in which case you can kind of swap the map up. And so funny enough, as the game progresses, it honestly seems to me like Ame, he kind of just doesn't care. Like, I'm not even saying that it's like he's not trying. I mean, he's like arguably the best carry in the world, right? But he just gets gone on here. I mean, he could have assumed they were in this area. Like, let's be real. They didn't make any moves mid. They didn't make any moves top. And yet, he just wanders into this area of the map, right? He just walks up the hill. He honestly does not seem to care. Like, there's almost no other way for me to put this. And he does, like, half health to both their supports again, right? Obviously, doesn't live too long because of the fact that there's 4 heroes. But he like chips down all their heroes, and it kind of ends up being the same result, which is Ember gets the farm, Viper gets the farm, which is, you know, something they would kind of be able to do without him feeding if he was just a dodgy gank, which is why you need to be a little bit careful about just going too crazy. But once again, the enemy team kind of overchases and ends up going down here, right? Matthew on the tiny overcommits, good snowball. That sets up for the sacred kill on the Dawnbreaker, and they find the Abaddon on the back end as well. So all of a sudden, another decent fight. On top of that, because Thunder Predator committed so many heroes to actually go bottom and so much resources to kill him originally on his respawn, it actually sets up for a favorable mid fight. I am so close to saying, guys, that feeding for certain cooldowns is a legitimately good idea. For instance, if you're playing against Lycan and you're a support, I think you should force that guy to ulti. I think you should literally go to his lane. If you were a position 5 and you're trying to stall the tower, go to his lane and just do everything you can to try to get that guy to shapeshift on you. Because if he uses it, his hero's just useless for like 80 seconds, and you might be like, oh, he gets a kill, right? So the thing is, if he goes top and gets your tower, right, that might not be any better, because then he's just going to run mid and then kill you mid and take your mid tower too. It sort of slows down the pace of his game. For instance, the Bat Rider doesn't have lasso, and he ends up dying again here. So he ends up dying again, but they keep using big cooldowns. I mean, huge cooldowns actually. Eclipse, Lasso, everything being used on him. He's going to be able to get the mid tower, which is like a huge portion of the map, right? A huge play on the map, of course, right? It's a huge play on the map. And so he ends up going down again here, does half health to the Bat Rider before going down, so that's something. But he gets the mid tower, and once again, I don't think him dying is straight up good, but I just want to bring this concept to you guys that they're not losing on net worth. And keep in mind, this is with an enemy team having a Luna, right? Basically the fastest farming carry in the game, early game, besides like Alk in a free farm Alk game, or maybe like Naga. So eventually, once he's taken both of the outer towers and successfully defended his safe lane tower, you'll actually notice that he is going to take Ancients, right? Takes Ancients, going to go to the bottom side of the map, does a really good job of dragging the camps together, and then does back off. So he's a little bit afraid of dying. He's not completely just full YOLO. Turns out he does actually have some limits, or gives himself some limits, but he's not even going to react to the top fight here, which I thought was interesting. I kind of assumed he was going to TP. He doesn't. That was weird to me because this looks like a pretty huge fight. Just doesn't show up. I mean, it was pretty clear that his team was committing and he's been active the entire game, so why not now, right? Why not show up now? And I believe the actual reason is because he's a little bit off of timing, right? So he's getting close to that Ags, and him TPing there would give up 30% of the map, right? Those deaths on Xing Q and Faith Beyond on the Viper kind of don't matter that much. The biggest downside of those deaths is it could turn into a Roche, but assuming it doesn't, because the enemy team doesn't Roche too well, they're fine, right? It's not, once again, it's not great, but you can see that their kill score, they're down by 7 kills. They're clearly like kind of losing in that regard, but it almost doesn't matter because this Bristleback is farming so damn much and he's going to hit his timing quite reliably. This Dawnbreaker isn't farming at all, right? She has like very, very low CS for Dawnbreaker. 86 at 16 for Dawn is extremely low. You would expect more around 100 to 110. To be fair, she had a really bad start, so you can't blame her too much. But then the Bat Rider being the base example, I mean, he has only 62 last hits 16 minutes into the game. That's nothing. This guy's poor, right? He's 6'2" and 10. My man is killing everyone. He probably felt on top of the world. And he kind of should. He's killing LGD. It's almost like a bait, right? I don't know, man. That's why Dota is so complex, so cool. Because it seems like a bait. It really does, right? Like, it just seems like one of those situations where their plays just aren't really working. And now we're going to see our first actual 5-man from LGD. Every other engagement has been this weird, scrappy engagement. They're going to hard commit on Nothing to Say here, using the Lasso, the Dawnbreaker ulti, dropping everything to finish off Nothing to Say. And you know what happens when you completely ignore a Bristleback with Ags? Well, you die. As simple as that. Look at this Luna. Oh my gosh, she was BKB. She didn't even have goo minus armor. She actually just got clicked to death. What the? Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's what happens when you double down on Nothing to Say. Did he buy back or did he just not die? Really, he bought back. Oh my gosh, he didn't die. You know, to be fair, if there's one thing to say about Thunder Predator's draft, they kind of lack burst damage. They really do. And that's showing here. That is showing because they could not kill the Ember Spirit. And immediately, now that they have this Ags timing at a pretty good pace, they're going to be able to get Roche, right? Here we go. 5-minute Aegis, just gets the Roche on, gets the Aegis, and yeah, now the game is in a way better spot. They're 4K ahead, 5K ahead. He's going to actually farm. This is something LGD does every single game, guys. Like, if you aren't farming on your first Aegis, you're kind of just behind on the meta. It's not that you can't put pressure. Like, you'll see, they're going to farm up a little bit, and then when the enemy team gets comfortable, right? When Thunder Predator leaves their base and leaves their high grounds, right? They're kind of just in the middle of the map. They pounce, right? And so what LGD does is they just have patience. They understand that they don't have to just run in immediately with Aegis. They have 5 minutes, and they have 5 minutes. You're going to have plenty of time to use this Aegis as he nearly ends up going down on the Bristle here. Turns out to be fine. But either way, it's just something that I noticed with a lot of players. They just get Aegis and they immediately barrel it down a lane. You're just bad. Like, I can't stress that enough. You're griefing your games by doing this. If you're telling your core, like, we need to push, we got Aegis. Like, are there times to push with Aegis? Of course. Right, of course. And certain heroes do it better than others. For instance, if you have like a Scotty Medusa, the problem about Scotty Medusa with Aegis is she can be ignored. The way you don't get ignored as Scotty Medusa with Aegis is you hit towers, and then you try to go high ground, and you bait them into you. With Bristle, you can kind of slow down the pace of the game with Aegis, and then if the enemy team leaves their base, you can run at them because you have like 500 movement speed. Now 550 actually with max stacks and phase boots active. So of course he can kind of look for a different sort of playstyle, and LGD executes on that extremely well with their high pace, team comp that they have here. But alright, that's going to be about the end of today's video as they sort of just slowly build a lead. They do end up feeding mid in a moment. LGD is, I don't know, they're so funny to me. Sometimes they seem unstoppable, and then sometimes like, I don't know, I guess that's Dota. It's such a complex game where even the best of players are going to look a bit silly sometimes. It's just there's too many variables. Because for instance here, it kind of looked like a good fight. Just wasn't. It straight up just wasn't. And they end up going down. They still end up winning this game. Once again, those deaths, I thought it would have costed them way more. It kind of didn't. Like, they do end up sort of getting the gap closed on them a bit, but the problem with the enemy team is they have this overfarmed Luna, but I don't know, man. The problem with Luna is she takes up so much space on the map, and relative to other carries, just doesn't do as much with it. Like, she doesn't clear waves effectively, definitely not with no Manta. She doesn't really do burst damage. Eclipse is okay, but of course there's going to be BKBs and Hurricane Pikes and things like that, right? Or Manta even for that matter on the Viper. Right, there's a Lincoln's on Ember, so he's probably not going to get controlled in the Eclipse. This guy's got a BKB. It's very hard to use Eclipse. Like, it's just straight up hard. Even Tusk can snowball. So, yeah, just even though the game is only 3K right now, I just don't think that this 18K of Luna net worth is great, because this Dawnbreaker is just so useless. She does nothing. Like, if you have a BKB at 26 minutes on Dawnbreaker, you just don't do any damage. He's about to get his Deso, but even then, I don't think it's going to be enough. Either way, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.